Oh, what's that one? Um, not bad. Just give us that. Ah, I thought it was on his closed balloons, man. Okay. Ah, so was it? It was it. It could be okay. So those two. Yeah, I don't know. I got price. I didn't see that one. Mm, okay. Mm. Ooh, I got that right. Okay. Oh, so it was a, that'd be a white box though. It's be a white box. So yeah. So I guess we put it must be put right. So it must be put right. Ah, so we didn't see so the access control list. The view has already set up access. Alright, so we got a question I said yesterday. But,
How much homework you get for last night? You did all of it. Well, some of these are not homework. Some of them are, some of them aren't.
uh, oh, thank you. I saw that question. Okay. Hmm. Risk. Okay.
Come on. This one was, but I mean, this one was how many time I give you this? 30 seconds. I need to up it to a minute. This one does take some time to read. But since this one was quick, this one says administrators analyzing wireless network only has 2 access points running on channels 1 and 11 while using air dump NG. Air dump NG is a tool that is used to crack wireless passwords. Admin notices access points are running the same corporate ESSD. That means it's on the same name. So you have one access point named Sean Wi-Fi, another access point named Sean Wi-Fi. So we have 2 access points with the same name. Okay. With the same name and with the same MAC address. BSSID is a MAC address. One of the legitimate access ports. Which of the following attacks is happening in this corporate network? That's the evil twin. Evil twin is when you have
You're gonna have to really work on these questions. I gotta go through all 700 questions, guys. Don't play around with this.
Look at that. The illegitimate one.
Okay.
I need to increase that to like at least a minute though.
Okay. 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 Okay.
You just did some homework, right? Like I say, these are homework. That's one reason I give 30 seconds because they're homework questions. So typically students see the question, they answer it. If I have it a minute, then I got to wait a whole minute for the question to expire, and that's 25 questions. That's 25 minutes.
Damn. Got that one wrong too.
Okay. PLP. Did you see this as homework?
I have
or was
that
it too quick?
I have that question.
Yeah. Some of them are, some of them aren't. Last day. So yeah, questions 18 through 24 are new. Then we have a couple that are the first question are 200 to 300. So you haven't seen those before. Then I have your 415 to 515, which is what you did for homework last night.
Right.
And then when we get to questions 18 through 24, the new questions. So what I'm doing here is the last day I'm testing to see, did you learn anything? Because yeah, anybody can go home and memorize questions, but you're not going to see all the same questions on the exam. So you have to read the question, understand it, and select the best answer.
30 seconds, yeah.
I'm feeling your shirt, by the way. I almost wore my anime stuff today because I saw you yesterday, and I was like, I'm gonna grab it tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm coming Japanese out. Watch. Cool. The Target. You know, yeah, Target sells all the gaming shirts. I like Target. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna turn on 5 minutes. Gonna read the question, try to figure it out. All right, so this source testing risk as file. IP address to permitting. Then we have a category. I'm gonna say, it wasn't. So I gotta practice.
And it's still homework until we get to question 18. What? Somebody got it right. So what led somebody to believe B? I don't know who selected B. You did. What led you to believe B? Was it guess, or there's something up there? See the guess because you want the lights today. You can go replay tech, and so I knew what replay was at. So it says, oh, you just cross eliminations. Look at this. 1 equals 1. Yeah, no, I was on the other side. I was reading that. Oh, you didn't get down to that yet. Yeah. 1 equals 1, but look, or. Yeah. Those are SQL.
Gotta study those different attacks.
SQL language.
We gotta study SQL. Okay. Gotta study SQL. We'll study those attacks. Okay. Oh, thank God for that. Thank God for that. That was pretty. Okay, we're gonna practice those SQL attacks. Okay. All right. Okay. Remember that? That was from the core. That was from the test. I studied.
My cousin, I don't know, you weren't here. You maybe were here, but my cousin, he got laid off from AT&T. He worked there for 20 years. So I was texting him to say, fix your shit. Yeah. Well, he's out. He's in Houston. He said everyone's out over there too. Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. DD. Yeah, we got that. Those are the ones from the day. Can y'all hear me? I'm making sure y'all can hear me. Nobody's talking. That would be a smart card. I didn't see that one. I didn't get that.
Get that stop.
That's a smart card.
It's gonna crash. I know.
Let's see if that wasn't. Can y'all hear me now?
I mean, we could been here.
Okay, y'all didn't say nothing to me, so I figured I couldn't. All right. Okay. Darn. That was it. I didn't get that question.
We talked about SAML, I think, on Tuesday.
SSO.
Right, standard. Here they're talking about implementing a tool in the cloud. And I don't want to manage users and passwords, but I would rather utilize a standard user directory. So SAML allows me to have them all authenticate to one central location, right, and use a common language, which you guys select. You guys are all over the place. A and C.
Yeah.
802.1x is an authentication protocol used for wired and wireless networks. So which of the following should the company implement for what? To utilize a standard and to allowing users and passwords to be managed. That's what SAML is, standard for users and password. Somebody else selected C. Radius is a server.
Right.
It's not really a standard, but it's a server used for AAA, authenticate, authorize, and accounting. So here they're really mainly just talking about what we want to manage users' passwords. Yeah. So that's authenticate. And nobody selected CHAP. CHAP is an authentication protocol, which is not a secure authentication protocol. It's one that's deprecated.
So I said SSO, right? But that's a SAM, so security markup language. Okay, gotcha. So SSO. Oh,
I'd say all day. Anything that where machinery makes up the majority of the workplace, that's where ICS environment resides. And a SCADA system is a device that allows me to manage an ICS environment, like a water plant, power plant, nuclear plant, car manufacturing, logistics, warehouse.
yeah.
We looked at the picture.
I
Remember
got a
the
lot of
picture we
different
looked at
areas.
with it
The
was like a
question they went
cartoon
over
image.
today, I have not
And
gone
three
over. I got to go
guys,
through
one
the
guy's
700
monitoring the
questions
on and off
and
switch, the other guy's
practices.
monitoring PSI water. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I should get that right. I think that's what they should do. I should get that right.
This one's easy because on an exam you have to choose two. Here you have a multiple choice, so it's really easy because you're just going to be looking for which of these allows me to securely send files on a network that you know right off the top of your head. You look at it quickly. Which one? We literally talked about yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, you know SSH. All right, so if you know A is one, then it has to be either this one or this one, right? Oh, you chose A, but C is not for transferring files. What is that? What is that used for?
Remote desktop to get into a jump
Remote
box.
desktop. That's what RDP is. So by default, you'd have to go with the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we can see this is file transfer protocol, secure file transfer protocol. In fact, that's what it's asking.
Maybe we shouldn't get that man pissed off right now. Huh. Okay. I got to look on this question. Oh. No. Ah, it was salting. Oh, it was salting.
Salted. All right,
Salting.
you got that right. Rainbow table salt.
Yeah, that's the one. They both do the same thing. All right. Oh, I got 46 seconds. Okay. No, what's this? Johnson, okay, that's right. All kind of people that are very smart. It's not all kind of people that are sales. That's very sales. That's very smart. That's one of my Charles. It's gonna be a good tough one. But say, okay. That's right. It's gonna be
So
CIS.
I gave you guys a minute for this one.
That's gonna be CIS.
Again, these are bonus questions, but they could could pop up on the exam. It could
Settings.
pop up on the exam.
I'm on
Two
practice.
companies emerging, Best Buy and Apple. Companies need to decide how to standardize their security practices. So it says here both companies follow the same cybersecurity framework. See?
Read closely. Okay. Read closely. Gotta read closely. A new vulnerability enables a type of malware that allows unauthorized movement from the data to the system. So it enables unauthorized movement from the data to the system. Detect this encryption. Found detect every encryption. On traffic using the false settings does not open ports. This kind of ports. C or D. D or D. I want to say D. I'm probably wrong. Yeah. Open that close the
New
port.
vulnerability enables a type of malware that allows unauthorized movement of data. Should fall under detect what? Unauthorized movement of data. Monitoring the data. B.
I gotta practice that. Understand that why. Okay. Alright, now say that one. I'm gonna take that. Okay. Whoa. Whoa.
So this is classifying data. We had to click and drag on this for our SIM. External vendor recently visited a company for a presentation. A member of the hosting team found a file the vendor left behind. So Best Buy came to my company, they left the file behind. It contains details of stuff, codes and snippets and information. Well, it's somebody else's data that's considered proprietary. They shouldn't have left it behind. It doesn't mention what do we have here. Somebody had B. It's not public. Oh, I gotcha. It's all good. No worries. Yeah. You had it. As long as your thought process was there.
I know.
Fine.
I have nothing. Yeah, what is it going on?
Alright, cool.
Long way to go. Okay. We got.
That's it for the.
We gotta practice.
for today.
Practice.
And get into the lesson.
Okay. Let me get here.
See what's on the front page real quick. Yep. So my phone was out. I got AT&T.
Oh, my old company. Man. Oh wow.
Henry, what do you have?
AT&T.
Oh, you do? So you had the same problem I got then?
Yeah, I mean I've been AT&T since I worked for them. I still got the plan, as a grandfather.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember we were talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, you probably don't have the same problem because you're at home on Wi-Fi.
Right.
You probably didn't even notice, but
yep, I'm using.
I noticed.
I
Didn't have any service.
gotta research that.
Some business. There's no reason behind it yet. That's what I'm looking for.
Alexa, what's going on with AT&T?
I'm having trouble hearing. Can you say that again?
We can hear you.
Oh, let me turn myself off. Alexa,
Alright,
tell
so
about the
we
AT&T
ended
attack.
with 12B yesterday, talking about
I don't know that.
digital forensics. somebody use this room last night.
Oh yeah, I was there till about 6, and the class came in. A CCNA night class came in and kicked me out.
Oh, did you get to meet Marcus?
Yeah, the tall,
Yeah.
the yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a CCI. He's a CCIE.
I know. Yeah, I found out. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know he came in. So yeah, I need to clean up a little bit. I know he was in here.
Yeah.
Like my book was closed and all kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, your book was open, I think, but he didn't really say nothing. I
All
had
right.
it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm just having to get my book open back to the page. All right, 12B. 12B is talking about digital forensics, and this is where we're going to be police officers. And the concept here is that we got to make sure that we know how to collect evidence and make sure it's not tampered with. We talked about this, in class where we talk about police go to a crime scene. The first thing they do is tape off the crime scene, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is that chapter. I'm going to go ahead and open up my notes. We'll go to the section of my notes here that I've given you guys already. I'm not gonna draw on the board today.
Oh, okay.
Everything's that I draw on the board is written down in my notes.
Oh, cool.
So let me just go ahead and skim to that section.
Okay.
I'm typing in chain of custody. It's gonna take me right down here. Alright.
Mm-hmm.
The portion of the notes. Try this again. There we go. So just kind of alluding to what we're getting ready to talk about, right? Preloading you guys with information before we get into the chapter. This chapter is about making sure that we have some way to properly go in and perform this, what's called forensics. Okay? Turn I don't know what that is. Anyways, I don't hear it, so. And probably attain evidence, digital forensic evidence, hard drives. We can be getting evidence from CDs, USBs, evidence from browser cache history, things of that nature. So in order for us to process this information, the first thing we had to do is when we get there is we got to take a hash. Taking a hash allows us to have a way to have the ability to determine if the data is original, right? And we know if the hash value changes, then we know that the data has changed as well. So to maintain integrity of that data, we take a hash value of the data and simply get there. Think of it as you have a hard drive, and I have evidence on that hard drive, and I want to use that evidence in a court of law. Before I start analyzing that hard drive, I have to take a hash of that hard drive because I got to make sure that that hard drive remains untampered with. It's going to remain in the state in which I found it when I got to the scene. And the only way that I can maintain that system state of that hard drive and know what the original state of that hard drive is taking a hash value of it. So even you going into a hard drive when you get to the crime scene and opening up folders can disrupt the originality of that hard drive because you've disrupted it, you've tampered with it. It's not the same as it was before you got there. So first thing we do, we take a hash value. You don't touch the original hard drive. Then we copy the original hard drive. Because we don't want to touch the original hard drive. But when you copy it, you're copying it special. It's not just a normal copy of the hard drive, not Control C, Control V copying and pasting data. You're doing what's called a bit by bit copy. So bit by bit copy does not disrupt the hash of the hard drive. And you have to use specific tools like a forensic toolkit in order to perform a bit by bit copy.
Wow.
So FTK, that's what FTK is. FTK is a forensic toolkit.
Wow.
And an NCASE is an example of another type of forensic toolkit.
NCASE, forensics.
I've seen those pop up on exam, so these aren't really vendor neutral. FTK is a forensic toolkit. No vendor makes it. It's a kit. Right? After that, right, we have stages here. We are going to collect the evidence, right? But now I'm going to be collecting evidence on the copy drive. The original drive, we bag and tag it, right? And we put it in a safe place of storage because we don't want people touching it. It's like when you think about watching police crime shows, they put things in bags and they write things on it, put it somewhere safe. When we collect evidence, we got to do it in this order of volatility. In order of volatility means we have to collect evidence that, in essence, would be lost first. Right? Or what would be lost if power was removed from that PC. That's considered volatile. So when I think about volatile, I think about this acronym I made up. CRASH is an acronym that I made up. That determines the most volatile, the least volatile. Cache. Cache. Right? Cache is data that's temporarily stored in the machine. Think about the cache you have on a web browser, right? Or the cache of your tabs. When you have tabs open on your Google Chrome, right? So prior to Google Chrome or Firefox implementing a restore option, if your tabs were open and your computer crashed or rebooted, all the tabs that you had open, they're gone.
Right.
That data is gone.
Right.
It's only there temporarily while that machine's powered on. Right? Think about even in middle school, you're writing a Word paper, right? Microsoft Word, and you forgot to save it to the hard drive, and your computer reboots. What do you got to do now? And that happens to me all the time. You got to start all over again, right? So that's what cache is. Cache is considered volatile data. That means that it's only there while the computer's powered off. If the computer powers off, you've lost that data. So C for cache. Also CPU is also considered volatile. So that C can also be for CPU.
Okay.
CPU and cache is stuff that we want to collect first because it's most volatile. R is for RAM. RAM, RAM. RAM is also considered volatile. RAM is memory. So it's only going to be temporary in memory while it's powered on. And if the power is powered off, gone. A doesn't stand for anything.
Okay.
A is only there because it spells a nice word, fresh.
Haha.
Hang on, I'm gonna unplug my my video. Yeah. Unplug my video back in. Having some technical issues here that you are not even going to be able to see. Monitor. I'll back up. This will be HDMI. There we go. Alright. So yeah, A doesn't stand for anything. S stands for swap. Swap file. Sometimes they call it page file. Swap file or page file. Swap file, page file is temporary, meaning that when the power is removed, anything that is in the swap file or page file will also be removed. The swap file page file is used on computers to essentially take space that's on your hard drive and use space on your hard drive as though it's RAM or memory. Stuff you probably would learn in A+, at least you learn a definition in A+, doesn't mean you actually would understand it. I think the only way you would understand this is if you grew up in the times where people actually would use swap file, page file. Hang on one second, Henry, my monitor keeps going in and out.
Okay.
Hey, somebody sat down here and messed with stuff last night. Must have been working all week.
Oh, no problem.
Let's see, track this cable down, see where it's going. You got this cable right here. You got this cable right here. You got that going into the wall. Not my computer. I know that much. I'll just reseat all these cables and see what happens. Alright. So yeah, I was going to show you where swap file and page file is. So I'm going to right click on this PC. I'm going to go to properties.
Okay.
gonna go here to advanced systems, settings, advanced, change. You can see page file.
Yes.
Page file. So it says here virtual memory. A page file, or sometimes called swap file, is an area on a hard disk that Windows uses as if it was RAM. So it takes some of the space on my hard drive and allocates it as RAM.
This is just good to know. It's good to know.
And the reason we do that is maybe there's software that needs additional RAM for it to operate. Everything uses memory on my machine to run. Right? I go to Task Manager, and you can see 50% of memory is being utilized, and a lot of it is being utilized by Google.
Yeah.
Google's a resource hog. All these tabs that I have open, Google's using all those tabs and keeping them open with memory from my machine. I got like 16 gigs, and this is a resource hog too. Teams is.
Oh yes.
Teams, I could barely run Teams on my own computer. Teach and use Teams on my Surface Pro 3. Surface Pro 3, I think I had like 8 gigs of RAM, but it was old. So I would always struggle. It would slow my computer down so much. Right now, it works pretty good because I got a pretty nice fast computer now. But anyways, that's swap file, page file, and then the H here stands for hard drive. H is hard drive. Of course, hard drive is considered non-volatile. That means that anything you've written to your hard drive, when you power it off, it's still going to be there when you power it on?
Yes.
Of course. So if I know it's going to be there still, I'm collecting that last. If I know that it's going to be removed, maybe possibility of the computer being powered off or rebooted, I'm going to collect that first. Then we fill out this document called the chain of custody. Now, chain of custody looks something like this. Go here. There's a chain of custody. This document here is something that the police or digital forensic investigator would have to fill out. You had the person's name who received it and the date and time. And every time that evidence moves from person to person to person, you had to keep this document with it. So if this document doesn't get turned in with the evidence is not admissible. It gets tossed out. So that chain of custody is very important. Okay. So this is the concept of what we're getting ready to talk about, right? How we're collecting evidence, and we're going to make sure that this evidence is admissible in the court of law. So 12B, that's what digital forensics is, right? Is talked about. That's what digital forensics is. And admissibility, meaning that we don't want that evidence to be tampered with, right?
Yes, sir.
Evidence, documentation, and admissibility. I'm in the book talking about, let's see where they're at. Digital forensics, page 340. It's a practice of collecting evidence in computer systems. Forensic investigators are most likely to be launched, prosecute crimes arising from insider threats, notably fraud or misuse of equipment. Such prosecutions are normally initiated by law enforcement agencies, where the threat is directly against military and government agencies or linked to organized crime. DNA, fingerprints, digital evidence is latent. Latent means that the evidence cannot be seen with the naked eye. Rather, it must be interpreted using machine or process. This means that the formal steps must be taken to ensure the admissibility of digital evidence. Admissibility means that it's not going to be admitted if it's not original. Right? When tampered with, we can't admit it. So latent evidence means that it can't be seen with the naked eye. I'm trying to think of a good example, as well as physical evidence. A hard drive, for instance. Again, hard drives are not latent evidence, but I guess latent evidence would be maybe data. We can't see data with the physical eye. We'd have to go in and use a machine to interpret that data, to be able to read that information. See if we can get a better example of latent evidence. I mean, that's my example. But let's see, latent evidence examples. The term latent means hidden. Latent is most commonly fingerprints or palm prints that are collected from a crime scene. Hidden? I guess it is. I guess a fingerprint couldn't be seen by naked eye. That's true. That would be a better example. But in the concept of data, though, right, latent prints usually need to be processed, developed. Yeah, I want to do latent evidence examples, data. Uh, yeah, I mean, of course, we know fingerprints. You can't see that. It's DNA. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the best concept I can think of in correlating this to computing would probably be data. All right. Now we're talking about data that machine language data, zeros and ones. Right? Zeros and ones are going to be translated to something that we can understand as humans, but we need the machines to compile those zeros and ones to be able to read it. So, unfortunately, here the only latent evidence we're going to be seeing is not computer latent evidence, but more so forensic evidence when you talk about police investigations. But I am going to put here fingerprints. Here, put also here machine language. Right, due process. Term based in U.S., UK common laws required that people only be convicted of crimes following the fair application of laws of the land. Where generally, due process can be understood to mean having a set of procedural safeguards to ensure fairness. Right? Due process is a right to, they read you the rights, right? Your memorandum rights. That's due process. It's principle central to forensic investigation. If the forensic investigator is launched, it's important that technicians and managers are aware of the processes investigation will use. Vital that they're able to assist investigators and that they do anything to compromise, that they do not do, right, not do anything to compromise the investigation. In a trial, defense counsel will try to exploit any uncertainty or mistake regarding the integrity of evidence or the process of collecting it. So a couple of things when we think about due process, right? How are we collecting this evidence? Due process means you have to do it legally. So if you're going there illegal without a warrant or illegal, any non-legal methods of collecting evidence would not be a proper due process. Right? I don't know. I think everything that Young Thug case is interesting. Well, see, there's extenuating circumstances, which means if you believe somebody did it, you don't need a warrant. So that's a law too. Extenuating circumstances means, hey, if there's enough proof that I believe somebody was guilty of the crime, I can go in and I can collect evidence without getting a warrant. So that's when police knock people's doors down, and you see these people at the door. You don't have a warrant. You're like, we don't need one.
There's probable cause.
Extenuating circumstances says I don't need a warrant.
Probable cause.
Because there's enough evidence from hearsay. There's enough evidence from something that the person who is saying that you did the crime that was given to the police to say that, hey, they did something and we need to go in there now because it might be lost. That's what extenuating circumstances is. But yeah, that case is weird. I don't know where they're going with that case and what the purpose of it is and everything. I did hear something that was pretty bad yesterday. We're talking about Young Thug. I don't know if you heard, Henry, but it has to do with obviously this topic of forensic investigation.
Yeah.
They had a phone call where a neighbor had called. So I don't know enough about Young Thug case. I don't know what he's in court for. I know he's in court for RICO and drug trafficking and stuff. But the phone call was somebody called in the neighborhood and said that somebody came in and shot somebody, and I don't know who he is, but they call him Young Thug. And the lady was like, "Don't send anybody over here. Don't have the police call me. Don't call me back." She was really scared. You heard that one? Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it on YouTube. A lot of videos on YouTube about it.
Yeah, and that's hearsay. It's is hearsay. So that's going to get tossed out anyhow.
That's true.
Hearsay is not admissible.
That's true.
Yeah. I don't think they have enough evidence on him, to be honest. I think they're just keeping him there. And I think the more it goes on, the more it's a joke. And I don't think when the jury goes to vote, they have to vote based on evidence. If there's not evidence there, that's how a lot of people get off. If there's not evidence, even if you did something, if there's no evidence on it, you have to vote not guilty.
That's right.
Oh, that's what they say? Did it really?
Like I said, he was excited the kids. He
Oh.
was like shooting kids and doing like having like gangs and go out and this and other.
I believe that. I believe he was the leader of a gang. I believe all of that. Right? But I don't think that they have enough evidence. I think he was doing it and hiding everything so good that I don't think there's enough evidence to lock him up on it. And then they got that one guy that acts like really stupid. That one guy, yeah. I know he's smart, but he's acting. Yeah. He hasn't snitched or anything. Yeah. So, here we're talking about, acquisition, right? Acquisitions process, obtaining this evidence clean. So this is what I was talking about, how we would do this, right? Taking a hash value, right? Bagging and tagging it, all of that stuff is how we would acquire evidence that we could use in a court of law. If a computer system or device is not owned by an organization, then there's a question of whether the search procedure is legally valid. That means, what if you brought your phone into my organization? We talked about this with MDM, and this is why I said bring your own device. We don't use this policy. You have my data on your personal phone, and I want to take you to court because you've stolen something you've placed on your phone, and I know it's on your phone, and I need your phone as evidence.
Good point.
I can't go to you and take your phone because it's your personal belongings.
Yeah.
So now the only way I can get that evidence is I got to get police involved, warrants and subpoenas. Right? And that's going to take time. By the time I get all that stuff, you've already tossed your phone in a lake somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So to avoid that risk is why we don't do the bring your own device. That's why we do corporate owned. Huh?
Isn't that my information?
It is. I'm still responsible. So this is where a fine line's drawn, right? Specifically at my company that I work for, if somebody did choose to bring their phone and set it up in my network, and what information would they have on their phone, our emails, we had the right to wipe their phone. So a lot of people didn't bring their phones private because we could wipe your phone and all your pictures and videos and everything.
Wow.
It was not an NDA. It was like right there. It was like right there, a little pop-up. Do you accept this agreement?
Oh,
Right?
that's
As
what it
you're
was on the
enrolling.
phone. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyways, so we can legally acquire the data, but we want to avoid the BYOD. A legal hold. And I've got it as reading through the book here. They mention order of volatility in the book here on 341. So I kind of went through that already.
Yep.
CRASH is the acronym. But you see how long the steps are, how many steps there are? 1 through 6. Right? And for most volatile, there's a CPU and cache, right? RAM. You see that? Second step. So I use the acronym CRASH to quickly recall the order of volatility. Because if you have to sit here and memorize, 6, 7 different things, it becomes overwhelming.
Yeah.
So kind of just remember that CRASH. We have CPU, cache is first, and RAM. Then we got swap page file. Then we got hard drive. Everything is archived. Archive media, CDs, USBs, hard drive, stuff that's going to be there permanently. That's the last thing we want to collect. So they talk about powers turned off. Where's legal hold in the book? I was at the top of 341.
Yeah.
So let's see what the definition is now in 701. I have my own definition. Legal hold refers to the fact that information that may A retention policy states that I need to hold on to data for a certain period of time. So a lot of companies have a retention policy because legally, laws state you have to hold on to data for a certain period of time. So email and any files and folders and data, we might have a retention policy for 5 years. After 5 years, it gets 5 years old, we're going to archive or we might even delete email older than 5 years. What if there's a court case though? Young Thug goes to court, right? And your company has a 5-year retention policy, but the court case goes on longer than what your retention policy states. So, for example, it's 2024, so that means 2019 that would be 5 years, right?
Right.
So, 2025, the court case is still going on, but you got email that's in 2019 that I need you to hold on to, even though it's 5 years old. A legal hold is going to say, hey, since the court case is still proceeding, you got to hold on to it longer than the 5 years. Right? All right, there's acquisition we kind of talked about, and there's the order of volatility. I put the acronym CRASH here. We talked about. Now, what if I want to take something that's considered volatile? Volatile means it's lost when the power is turned off, and I want to dump it to something that's considered non-volatile. That means the police go over to your house and you got data in your cache, you got data in your CPU, you got data in your RAM, you got data in your browser, and I want to make sure that I can copy that to something that's going to be there forever, because there's a risk that the power could go out at your house and I could lose it in the middle of collecting it and the power goes out. So what they'll do is they'll do something called a mem dump. Here they're talking about a system memory dump. And what they do is they take all that volatile data and they dump it to a USB thumb drive. So it's going to be there permanently. Even if the power's removed, I can still go back and look at that information at a later time. Of course, they talk about disk imaging. Imaging is the concept of copying that data, right? Why do we want to copy that data? Because we don't want to investigate the device or the hard drive that's the original, because we could end up tampering with that evidence. So disk image acquisition is the process of copying that, and they're showing that as in a picture. Keep up with my PowerPoint here. They're showing that in a picture here, right? This is Kali Linux, and they're performing this disk imaging via the command line interface.
I gotta practice.
So you can copy a hard drive via command line interface.
Wow.
Right? And that's what this line of code is. SDA is a directory in Linux that allows me to, kind of like Windows, you know how you have your C directory in Windows?
Yep.
This is SDA right here.
Yep.
This is a directory in Linux. It's
awesome.
kind of equivalent to the C directory. So they're taking the C directory, they took a hash value of that directory first, and then they're going to take a copy of that disk.
Wow.
So here's a hash right here, 34137. They copied all the records to another directory, and then they took a hash value again. You can see it's still 34137, so they know that the integrity of the drive is not disrupted.
Got it. Hash to hash, compare integrity. Hash. Oh God, that's good.
So what they used here is a DD command. You can see this DD here. DD. I had a Linux guy tell me it stands for disk duplicate. I don't even have it in the book. I found it able to find what it actually stands for in Linux. But the DD command is something that allows us to make what's called a bit-by-bit copy. We're not going to disrupt the integrity of that drive. But they now have it bold in the book, which is good because they ask questions about it. It's in your homework. Did you see that homework question with DD? Okay.
Yes, I did.
All right. Preservation. Bottom of 343. It's vital that the evidence collected in the crime scene conform to a valid timeline. Digital information is susceptible to tampering, just like physical, right? So access to the evidence must be tightly controlled. Video recordings, the whole process of evidence acquisition established the provenance. I think that's how you pronounce that word, provenance. The evidence as deriving directly from the crime scene. Here, I make sure that we understand we're talking about timeline. I mentioned that NTP, Network Time Protocol, port 123, is important for a lot of things, right? We talked about it's important for my logs to go back and detect what happened at a specific point in time. I can't have my time on my computer saying 1985 and the incident happened yesterday. I said that the court is going to toss that evidence out because the time is inaccurate. So it is important that our cameras, our systems, our logs, all that stuff has the correct time. Should even think about your scripts. You set a script to back machines up at 9 p.m. every night, and the time is off on one of the machines. So all the other machines back up at 9 p.m., but that one machine doesn't back up because the time is not synced. To obtain, actually, no, I'll do this later. To obtain a forensic sound image from non-volatile storage, non-volatile means that the data will be saved forever, even if the power is removed. Non-volatile is like a hard drive. Capture tool must not alter the data or the metadata. So what they're saying here is that if I'm copying stuff from a hard drive, sometimes copying it from a hard drive can disrupt the hash, right? That's why they're using DB here, which is a specific write blocker or a bit-by-bit copier.
Wow.
This duplicate. That I don't think that's what it means. I'm just saying this is what I heard a Linux guy in one of my classes. He was a Linux guy. This is what he used it as, and I use it still to this day because it makes sense. Because that's what it's doing. It's copying the hard drive. However, if you Google it, it's not going to show you anywhere. It's simply a command. Oh, that's cool. And, I mean, it's just copying, duplicating the hard drive. So on 344, they're talking about preservation. So I talked about using a write blocker, right? I'm gonna put here DD, right? Linux uses DD to perform that. Evidence and integrity and non-repudiation. Well, we know what this word means, right? And we know integrity. We don't want that data to be modified. We want to make sure that it was original. So it says here you take a hash. I talked about that right before. And look at step 2, bit by bit copy. I talked about that before we started.
No, you did well.
Right. So we do this before we actually copy it. So we take a hash, we copy it, then we take another hash to make sure the copying didn't disrupt the hash. That's what we just looked at, literally. So that's steps 1 through 4 in your book. And then chain of custody, we just saw a picture of what the chain of custody is. Anytime you bag and tag and you move that evidence from person to person to person, you gotta fill out that chain of custody.
Chain of custody, here y'all get it.
Bottom of 344 reporting. So digital forensics reporting summarizes the significant contents of the digital data and the conclusions from the investigator's analysis. It is important to note that strong ethical principles must guide forensic analysis. Analysis must be performed without bias. That's why police go there. How can I send a person who committed the crime to go analyze and give me evidence? Or the person's friend or close family member. Right? Of course, they're going to have some biasness. Analysis methods must be repeatable. So I got to be able to show the court again and again and again that think about forensic crime dramas on TV. Right? This is how I collected the evidence. And then we might replicate. We find that person's shoe and we put it in mud and there's this footprint again. It came from this person's shoe. So if we can repeat it over and over again, then we know that the evidence was collected in a ethical way. Ideally, evidence must not be changed or manipulated. Of course, this just means that we can't tamper with it. Defense counsel may try to use any deviation of good ethical or professional behavior to have the forensic investigator's findings dismissed. I mean, again, just think about if you watch crime TV shows. We've all seen this before. Right? So if somebody determines that that was collected in a way that's non-ethical or in a way that they believe that the evidence could have been changed or tampered with, we want the judge to throw it out. All right. On the next page, you talk about e-discovery. Forensic investigation, forensic examination of device that contains electronically stored information. So electronically stored information is ESI. Entails a search of the whole drive, including both allocated and unallocated sectors. A+. You should know what an allocated hard drive is and what unallocated hard drive is. Allocated means that there's data written to it. Unallocated means there's no data written to it.
Right on.
Sometimes people like to hide data in unallocated spaces of the hard drive because people are not going to look in places where data should not be written to.
Okay.
Right? But as a forensic investigator, I'm going to look all through a hard drive. E-discovery is a means of filtering the relevant evidence produced from all data gathered by a forensic examination, storing it in a database in a format such that it can be used as evidence in a trial. So with e-discovery, there's some steps here. Identify and deduplicate files metadata. So think about like this. I go to the crime scene and I see someone's computer. I see some CDs. I see some USBs. I see, what else? Cameras, printers, all that's digital evidence, right?
Right.
And all that could have evidence that could be used in the court, and some of it could be stuff that has nothing to do with the trial at all. But my job is to go in and filter that information. If there's duplicate information, I get rid of it. If the evidence that I don't need, I put it on the table that I say I don't need this evidence. And then I find a table where I put all the stuff of things that I deem could incriminate or prove that this person's not guilty. Right? Then I got to search through that, and I got to figure out, filter, what can I use in court, what can I not use in court. When I find out what I can use in court, then I tag it, bag and tag it. Hey, I can use this, I can use this, I can use this. Then I got to secure those things. Right? Secure these so that people can't go in and make changes to what evidence I collected in the court. And in disclosure, an important part of the trial procedure is that the same evidence be made available to both the plaintiff and defendant. E-discovery can fulfill this requirement. Recent court cases have required parties to a court case to provide searchable ESI rather than paper records. Right. 12C and 12D. We're going to do 12C and then we'll take a break. So 12C. 12C is talking about here data sources, right? Network hosts, applications produce a very large amount of data, reading top of 347 via different mechanisms. Identify all these data sources and then scan them for threat indicators. It's a significant challenge for all types of organizations. As security professionals, you must be able to identify and utilize appropriate data sources to perform incident response as efficiently as possible. So where can we collect these data? We're kind of getting off forensics here, going into how do we collect data in an organization as a detective way to find out who compromised my organization or how that particular incident occurred. Trying to perform this with that thing called a root cause analysis we talked about yesterday. Well, we can use system memory. System memory is one place we can go to recover data. Now we know system memory is volatile, so we probably want to collect that evidence first before it's lost. Logs. Everything's got logs. My network devices have logs. My switches, my routers, my PCs, my laptops. Right? So logs can be places in which I can collect information. Network traffic has logs, right? So maybe somebody's performed a DDoS attack or denial of service type of attack, and I can use that to find out who was inside my network, where did they originate from, and maybe determine how I can stop it from occurring again, blocking that traffic. So they mentioned logs again, log files, alerts generate network-based vulnerability scanners, log files generated by OS components, computers, log files generated by applications, log files, alerts generated by endpoint security software, so that's antivirus. Common point here is logs. Logs. Okay? So the sheer diversity and size of data sources is a significant problem for investigators. So we use seam tools to do what? Aggregate, and there's that word in the book, correlate. Aggregate and correlate means, hey, there's logs on all of these systems. I don't have time to log into all these systems. Could you send all these logs to one central location so I can just log into one central location and look at all the logs in my environment? That's what a seam is. So they're alluding to a seam, and the seam has a dashboard. This is the picture of a seam dashboard. I showed you guys SolarWinds, right? But you've seen one, you've seen them all. You can customize your dashboard whatever you want to see in your dashboard. I mentioned my dashboard was customized with top 10 machines running out of hard drive space. So proactively, I wanted to be notified before those machines ran out of hard drive space, so that I could resolve the issue before people call me on the help desk.
Okay, smart.
But again, you can have whatever you want on your dashboard.
That's good.
But it gives us a visual representation, and a quick glance, we can kind of look at the bars and the graphs, and we can kind of see what systems are up, what systems are down, what systems are being alerted for whatever things that we're monitoring in our organization. Right. So seems to have these automated reports where they can, again, send information via email, via text message, even a phone call. Computer call you and say, hey, did you know the system's down? Right. With these alerts and these alarms. Log data on the next slide here at the bottom of page 348. Logs, right, are critical for investigating. As well as log format, you must also consider the range and sources of logs. Know how to determine what type of log file will best support the given investigation. So where to look for, as far as logs are concerned, for information that may have relevancy on the type of attack that's occurred. Right? If we have issues with people going to websites, I'm not going to look in printer logs, because printer logs have nothing to do with people going to websites. I might not even look in system logs. System logs have nothing to do with people going to websites. But DNS logs, I'm going to look in DNS logs. DNS logs has everything to do with people not being able to go to websites, because DNS job is to do what? Translates a website's name to an IP address. So DNS logs would be, and we've seen questions in the first night of our homework, where it had a question scenario, and it said which of the following log files would you look into to better understand the incidents being described in the question up above. That was in the first night of homework. So yeah, every type of log system is going to have different information in it. So I'm going to go to Event Viewer, because they talk about Windows Event Viewer here. I hit the Windows key, I typed in Event. This is the difference between a Tier 1 technician, open my magnifier real quick, and a Tier 2 technician. The Tier 1 technician is going to have a phone call from an end user about an application that is not working. They're going to call you and say, hey, Ricky, my Outlook keeps crashing. Can you come over and take a look? So a Tier 1 technician is going to do this. They're going to go over there and take a look, and they're going to do everything that the end user's done already. They're going to reboot the computer. Well, first, they're probably going to close and reopen Outlook. Right? That's the typical Tier 1. Well, end user's probably done that. They're going to shut down and restart the computer. End users probably did that. Then they're going to probably uninstall and reinstall Outlook. Well, end user probably did not do that because they didn't know how to do it. Right? But 9 out of 10 times, that's not going to fix the issue. Right? Because there's a deeper underlying issue on why their application keeps crashing. So they call back the next day after the Tier 1 tech's done all that, and they say, my Outlook's still crashing. Now Tier 1's got to escalate to Tier 2. Here's the difference between a Tier 1 and Tier 2 tech. Tier 2 tech looks at logs. Tier 2 tech looks at the root cause of the issue. They don't go and try to bandage the incident. So we open up application logs, and in Windows you can actually sort through these logs. So I can actually click level, and it's going to sort, and it's going to give me the most critical, the least critical, right, at the top. And then I can even go over here and filter, and I can type in exactly what I'm looking for as far as Outlook related logs, right? Via these keywords that I can type in down here. So just show me Outlook related errors. And when I find it, I click on it, I read about it down here, and it says, hey, Outlook's running out of memory. This system only has 4 gigs. We need a little bit more memory.
Wow.
So no matter what you do, Outlook's going to keep crashing until you actually go into that system and install more memory, right? So application logs are going to, in Windows, are going to be places that we look for application-related issues. Right? Outlook was the example I used. Security logs are where we go to find out who's logged into the system. As I scroll down here, you can see user account management, audit success. This is the date and time that I was logged into this particular system. And it keeps track of audits, right, in the security logs every time I've logged in and out of the system. If I type in the wrong password, it'll say audit failure. Type the right password in, it says audit success. So security logs will determine, is somebody trying to brute force your machine? If somebody's trying to brute force your machine, you see a bunch of audit failures in the security log. Setup logs is exactly what it sounds like. When somebody's trying to set up or install something on your machine, if that setup process goes good, it'll show it installed fine. Setup process does not go good, it'll say setup failed, and it might give you a reason why setup failed. Well, you ran out of hard drive space. We need more disk space for this program to successfully install. Or we need dependencies, right? We talked about that yesterday. You need C++, you need Visual Studio, right? All these other programs installed before you can install this app. System is a very common one that people look in. System logs are when people's systems are acting strange, hardware. So your computer rebooted, and it keeps rebooting every hour. Why? I'm gonna look in system logs. Okay. Or your system blue screen, or it's shut down randomly, or it's getting really hot, overheating. Wow. I'm looking in system logs to find out what's going on with that particular user's hardware. My forwarding events, you can see they're disabled. Forwarding events are used to send logs from my computer and forward them to another computer. Why would I do that? Maybe for archive purposes. Logs take space, right? And over time, and this computer's pretty new, but my Surface Pro, and this one has a lot, 32,000 already. Yeah, my Surface Pro had like 30-something thousand application logs. I just never deleted them. I mean, you can go in here and you can obviously clear your logs, right? But that's not best practice for Security Plus. We're not going to clear our logs. We're going to first back our logs up. We're going to archive our logs first, right? Save the logs. Then you can clear the logs, right? Because you never know when you have to go back in corporate America and track an attack that might have happened 2 years ago, but now you've just deleted your logs, you don't have them. So for Security Plus test purposes, we are never to delete our logs. The right answer is to back them up first, archive them first,
gotcha.
Right? Then delete. Right, so that's at the bottom of that page, right? I looked at all the Windows logs, application security system, over on 350. I actually showed you guys in real life, not in theory, where the logs are. All right. Linux, I can't show you Linux logs because I have Linux running on here. But note here in the book, Linux is in a directory called var log messages. So to get Linux logs, you actually have to go into a terminal window like this, and then you have to type in commands to see the logs. It's not like Windows. Windows has a nice GUI interface. You can click on things, you can sort, you can filter, right? You can scroll up and down on the logs, right? Here you're going to see a CLI-based window of Linux, right? We go here, I can show you a picture, var log, example, Linux. All right, this is what logs look like in Linux. You see here, they typed in here on this CLI, var logs, right, ls list, and here they're listing all the logs in a particular directory. And then once they've listed all the logs, here's authorization. That's probably signing and sign out. Then you have to say, all right, I want to look into this particular log. It's not a Linux course, so I'm not talking about that. I'm not a Linux guy. teach Linux. I don't want to know nothing about Linux.
I'm gonna learn Linux.
Other than the stuff we need to know for Security Plus.
Yeah.
Tail is something we need to know for Security Plus. Tail says look at the end. Think about tail. Tail is the end of the dog. Tail is looking at the end of the logs. So you can't simply scroll down to the end of the log. You just type in tail, and tail will go to the end of the logs. How do you think you get to the front of the logs? What do you think the word here would be if we're talking about an animal?
Head.
Exactly.
Your head.
So head is the beginning of the logs, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if they mentioned that more in the book, or if they're taking that out. I'm looking through the book here. I don't see these keywords. It might be in here though. So it doesn't hurt. Looking through. So we did see authorization logs in one of these pictures already. They're talking about authorization logs, which is basically what authorization is, rights and privileges does that person have on files and folders. They talk about sudo privileges. Sudo is super user, or sudo is an admin, right? Or sometimes they call it root user. Here we're looking at Linux. We can see root authentication failed, so we can see somebody's trying to log into this particular system, and the authentication's failed each time they've tried to log in. All right. The next page, application logs. So we looked at Windows, we looked at the application logs. I kind of, in Event Viewer, I kind of alluded to maybe Outlook could be crashing. That would be a reason why we look at application logs. Endpoint logs. Endpoint logs are going to be, remember, anything that connects to the network is an endpoint. Phones, laptops, desktops, laptops, those are all endpoint devices. So anything that you connect to your organization's network is being logged. Endpoint logs likely refer to events monitored by security software running on the host rather than on the operating system itself. This can include host-based firewalls. Host-based means it's on that individual's machine. Intrusion detection via scanners and antivirus. They've already talked about, we talked about the other day, different types of antivirus software, endpoint protection, EDRs, XDRs. These are different types of antiviruses. I mentioned the EDR is an antivirus on steroids. It can do a lot more than just the standard blocking malicious files from being installed on that machine. It's more than just an antivirus.
Oh, wow.
But point being here is that all these have logs in them. Even my antivirus software has logs.
Okay.
They're showing in the book a picture of something we probably looked at already. So they're in an event viewer, and they're in operational logs, right? And they've opened up the operational logs, and they're saying here, Windows Defender, which is an antivirus, took action to protect the machine from malware. And it says it's telling us the threat of it, and it says it's real-time protection, so it detected in real time, and it was logged at this particular time, right? And
you must practice your Windows Event Viewer, Henry. Must practice your Windows Event Viewer.
Log file, Windows Defender. This is the antivirus log file. Yeah. And the thing is, you gotta think, well, I guess it's a monopoly. I mean, everything runs Windows. So, but they do talk about Apple. They talk about Linux. They all have logs as well. And CompTIA wants us to be proficient in both. And that's why they keep talking Linux and Windows. They go back and forth, Linux, Windows, Linux, Windows. It wants to be proficient in both. Linux Plus is just all about Linux commands and everything Linux oriented. That's what that Linux Plus certification would be. But again, we don't have to be Linux Plus certified to be able to pass our Security Plus. All right, networks, firewalls, IDS, IPS, everything, like I mentioned, has logs. So there's talk about different types of places in which we would find, if we're talking about traffic coming in and out of our network, we're going to be looking at network logs. If we're talking about traffic that's being blocked, denied, or permitted, we're going to look at firewall logs. Same thing with IPS. IPS is the same thing a firewall does. It prevents traffic coming in and out of my network. And the detection, right, detecting traffic that has already bypassed that IPS, I want to detect after somebody has compromised my network. IDS log is going to be ways I can go back in time and look to see who was it, when did it happen. Packet capture. Reading the book to make sure there's nothing additional here. Let's put your examples. All right, the next page. Packet capture. Sometimes they're called packet analyzer. Sometimes they're called packet sniffer. Sniffer. Wireshark is typically used. So here's more free advertisement for this company. But Wireshark is the picture that we see there in the book, right? This icon right here is indicative right here. This icon right here is a shark fin, Wireshark. And no, we do not have to be able to analyze Wireshark logs. See me for CCNA class, and we kind of get pretty deep into this because this is all IPs and network related, right? And there's a lot to this log file. That's why somebody who analyzes Wireshark logs, that's their profession at the business. Right? We'll collect the log file and we'll send it off to a technician who is a Wireshark analyzer, because there's a lot to do as far as understanding. You said what? You use it? Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's free. Yeah, you can download it now and install it. But the thing about Wireshark is it's used to troubleshoot issues, and it can be used to capture information that is in plain text. That's why it's important for us to encrypt all our data so people don't use it against us maliciously.
Good point.
Usernames, passwords can be captured and then used later, right, as replay attacks. So they're talking about in the book just good use cases for Wireshark, but again, lots of people could use it for malicious purposes as well. So they're talking about, hey, using it to troubleshoot issues, using it to go back and find out where the issue originated, using it to determine if it was a malicious file that got transferred, so we can inspect our data and be transferred to the network with a packet analyzer or sniffer. Metadata. This definition is going to sound redundant. Metadata is data about data. That doesn't really make sense until I give you an example, right? So we're going to play a little game. I'm going to give you data about data, and I want you to infer about information that I'm trying to keep from you or hide. So the first clue is it's a phone number, not enough data about the data. The second clue is it's used in emergencies.
Okay.
911. Right? Mm-hmm. So I gave you data about data, but I didn't give you the data at 911. So the question here is that, given enough data, could I infer about data that I have no business knowing about in the first place? And the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Given enough unclassified information, I could aggregate all that information together and I might be able to infer about something that's considered top secret.
Hmm.
So metadata sometimes needs to be secure, just like our top secret information, our top secret data.
Hmm.
So here they're just giving us examples of metadata. That's what they're talking about here on this entire page. But just know the concept of what metadata is and why we need to secure it.
Another question.
They took out my favorite example.
Quick question. I have a quick question.
These are all examples, by the way. I'm not going to go through these examples. But my favorite example was phone records. They're called class directory records, or CDRs. Remember back in the day when you get your cell phone bill, you get this thick packet with all the numbers you dial and everyone you text?
Yep.
Oh, for real? Okay. Well, I mean, still, you mean you're almost my age. They're still sending. Oh, you never got the bill. Oh, you were in Japan? I didn't even ask you all the places you were. For real? Where is that? Is that Tokyo or what? Southern Japan? That's not Okinawa though, right?
Hello.
Oh, okay. But you're on that main big island. The bigger. Okay. How long were you there for?
4 years.
Yeah. Where were you?
Sasebo.
I mean, where's your career? Where'd your career take you? Australia, Guam, Singapore? Damn.
We went to North Korea when we were supposed to talk about it.
Oh, nice.
They sunk the ship. We told them South Korean ship back to South Korea.
How come you even get into North Korea? I thought you weren't even allowed.
Yeah, that's why we did it at night.
Oh, you did like on a mission. You didn't like go to visit. Oh, okay. I was saying.
4 seals.
Yeah.
And then we towed the ship back, but then we went back to South Korea and anchored out. Like we pretended like we stayed there all night.
Yeah.
And then in the morning we went to Australia, but a submarine from a North Korea submarine followed us from North Korea all the way to Australian waters. Because international waters, we had to pretend like we didn't know they was there.
Yeah.
But a submarine was not a sub, but a carrier was telling us that we have a sub on that's following us. They have a sub.
Scared now.
Yeah. Pretend like we didn't know it was there because we told the ship that they sunk out of North Korea back to South Korea because it was like if South Korea come get the ship, we're going to basically start war with y'all. So they sunk us in there and towed the ship out because they ain't gonna start war with us.
Yeah.
But then they're not gonna sink our ship, so they pulled their ship out. Then we left in the morning going to Australia, and they just followed us. Because international waters, man, they can do whatever they want. They could have sunk us. We didn't have no defense visa, so stuff like that. Because we wasn't in the strike.
Were you in the sub or you were above? Oh, you're above. Oh, you're above. Okay. At least you could try to swim. I would be more scared in the sub.
Well, they come up and shoot you.
Oh. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm still jumping. I'm gonna try. I have a better chance of being underwater.
Kill was to hit the front of the ship and split you.
Yeah.
You'll go down.
Yeah, your ship's gonna sink. Yeah.
You'll go down. You have to be, they say, like at least 500 yards away from the ship, but you're not going to be able to get water.
You're saying the funnel is going to suck you in the water, like Leo.
You're going to drown because you're going to go down that funnel. A lot of people are, and it's going to go a long way down. And then you go down the funnel and you come back up.
Yeah, but you got yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh. You had a real military career, huh?
Not like people going to Afghanistan, you know what I'm saying?
You had all those pictures too? Damn. All those pictures from all those different countries?
Dictatorship. And they had a mudslide.
Yeah.
They had lost like over 100,000 people in that deaths and stuff, so we was flying in food back and forth. When we was leaving, man, we had road past an active volcano, you know, steam, like you literally can feel it, like the steam and stuff dropping on your skin, it kind of like steam and everything, and I was recording it, and I had that recording, because it was like 50 miles away, but it looked like it was right here, and I had to record it from like, just going past the whole volcano, and it's just gone.
Oh, man. I mean, it's here. That's what I tell people when I go visit places, and like I'll take a picture and send it to them, and they'll won't say anything. Like they'll be like, oh, that's it. I'm like, yeah, you have to be here.
Yeah.
You have to be there, experience it. So then I stopped sending pictures because I'm like, it's not the same.
Yeah, because that feeling.
Yeah.
Like, it's like stinging a little bit. Like,
you have the memories forever. Forever, you have the memories. Yeah. But it does suck that you can't reminisce and pull up some pictures and be like, oh yeah, I was there. I was.
You know, the conversation, people were talking.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? The background. And
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
That's dope, man. I'm jealous. Hey, we're taking a break.
Okay. Outstanding.
Brand and in this
Outstanding.
Chapter, so
all right.
Sitting here chatting.
Mm-hmm.
So
Y'all can hear me, right? Y'all can hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good.
Taking a break. We'll be back in 10.
Okay. Okay. All right. Attributes. All right. All right. So, all right, guys. So I messed up on a lot of questions, and you know what? You should, because I realize I need more time on the programs to really master the software. Okay. My clock says it's about 10 something, so we're going to turn the. I think the guy is coming. Let me go check the water. We got a 10-minute break for us to stand up, use the restroom, which I'm about to do now. Microphone is muted. It should not be able to hear me. I definitely don't believe that I'm good enough to know how to do the Security Plus Wireshark. It really is a networking exam, so I got to go back to networking school to learn that. Okay, but you're gonna have to be willing to go unified communications because it's gonna take us time to boost up to learn network. I'm not a. Well, I mean, I hate to say it, but when's the last time this has been touched? Probably years ago. And since I'm here, I'm getting this leak. And it's a lot of water. Okay. got some, catch the water, and that will help. So I didn't want to use her nice dishes, but I didn't want that sucker to come down. Interesting thing, what he did upstairs, he should do in all bathrooms, just to be on the smart side. Right with her, because the amount of time she's in the toilet a day, it's only a matter of time for what happens to you. But this is called wear and tear. No, this is the part of owning a house. And how it is. Go to the bathroom. You can't go downstairs. All right. But I asked for help and she didn't. He didn't respond. So hell. But now I have enough in order to drain. I just have to check it. Based upon the amount of leak, it looks like it's gonna be as bad, but the shade tree on the spin all that time. All right. Weird. I think you need some tape, but I'm gonna tell you something. I want rice. Well, you gotta pay gas, and here's the situation. You have no gas really money at all. Till next Wednesday morning. So I was wrong. I'm glad we get it. And you know. you. Ah, cookies. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. What's it? Crosshairs. Wow. Okay. Hmm. I just told you. That's how you do it. Oh, yeah. Alright, I wanna save all of this. This is the date.
All right, Henry, we're back.
Okay.
You hear me?
Oh yeah.
Just give me like a thumbs up.
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. Yes.
Okay,
Just making
gotcha.
sure you're there.
Okay.
All right. So moving on, 12D, we basically talk about ways in which we can figure out different places to look for different logs, depending on what has transpired in our infrastructure, networks, applications, systems, security logs, making sure our time is accurate. Lots of places we can go for host-based logs for antiviruses, but the SIEM does what? It does all of that a lot better because it aggregates, right? Or
Yes.
correlates, or puts them in one single spot for us to go and view these logs. Some of these SIEM tools are agent-based, meaning it's software that you have to install. And agent-based means it stays on that computer. Agent-based log collection, right? And it goes out and gets these logs and places them in the SIEM device, SolarWinds, or whatever tool you utilize to collect your information. So agent-based, it says this approach means installing an agent service on each host. So any machine that I want to monitor, I have to go to that machine and put software on it, right? So the SIEM agent can basically telephone to that machine that has the software installed on it and say, oh, you want to talk to me? You want to send me information about your system? We can communicate now because you have the same software that I have, and we can talk to one another. So a lot of tools out there, just imagine you have a server, central server for SolarWinds, but then you have software that you have to do what's called client-based and install on each of the end users' machines. So that's what agent-based is. It says it doesn't take up that much space or much processing power, not space, processing power, 50 to 500 megabytes to run that agent. Listener collector. Rather than installing an agent, right, something permanent, we don't have to install anything. Host can be configured to push changes to the SIEM. Right, so it's just going to basically be configured to send information to a specific destination. Process runs on a management server, and that's what the SolarWinds is called. It's not really called a server, it's called a management server, because he's the one that manages all the clients. To parse and normalize each log monitoring source, the method is often used to collect logs from switches, routers, firewalls, as these are unlikely to support agents. You can't install exe-based software applications on these devices. Now, there's certain things you can install on these devices. I'm not going to say you can't install anything, but you definitely can't install like Microsoft Windows on a router, a switch, right, a firewall. So if this agent is like an application like that, you're going to double click and next. You're going to have to use a listener collector on these devices. And a sensor. As well as log data, the SIEM might collect packet captures and traffic flow data from sniffers. A sniffer can record, we kind of just talked about what a packet sniffer is a second ago. Network data using either mirror port functionality. And we talked about what a mirror port is. Mirror port is basically essentially me connecting to a single port on a switch and then configuring that switch to say, hey, any other machine that's in that network, send that traffic to this particular interface. We had a picture, notes here. Right here, sorry. Control F with the span. What did I name it? Port mirroring. Alright, I'm about to scroll through my pictures. I'm not sure what it was named in my notes. It was towards the networking chapter. Scroll up. That was called a span. Oh, did I not have that picture in my notes? I don't think I did. Yeah, we went to Google for that picture. I don't think it was on the notes. But I just want to show it to you guys again so you guys can recall. Yeah, it's not in the notes, that's why. This picture, right? That's what they talk about here, right? to a sensor. It says can sniff and record network data using either mirroring port, it's a mirroring port, functionality on a switch. See a switch or using some type of tap that isn't tap. It's called a tap, port mirror, or span. And what it's going to do is it's going to say, hey, any traffic leaving these machines, specifically log-based traffic, send it to this single port here, and I can basically aggregate logs from multiple ports and send it to one single interface as an administrator to monitor all that traffic. That's what log aggregation is, right? Log aggregation is being able to consolidate traffic from multiple locations and place them in one single place, whether it's an agent that's being used, whether it's a listener being used, whether it's sensors that are being used, or a SIEM device being used to aggregate all those logs to one central place. Alerting. This is our word correlation again. A SIEM can run correlation rules, indicators on page 360, extracted from data sources to detect events that should be investigated as potential incidents. And it can also filter or query data based on the type of incident that's been reported. So I showed you guys that in Windows you could filter logs, right? I could type in a keyword for Outlook, same thing they're talking about here, and a SIEM device, because again, if you think there's 300,000 logs, you're going to have to filter some way to find out what you're looking for. Correlation means interpreting the relationship between individual data points to diagnose incidents of significance to the security team. A SIEM correlation rule is a statement that matches certain conditions. These rules use logical expressions, such as and or operators are equal or less than or greater than. So here we can see a line of code, right? For example, single user login failure is not a condition that should raise an alert. So I don't want the system to alert me if a single user has logged in and they fail. That means you come to your desk, you log in, and it gets an error. You type the password in wrong. Don't send me that alert, because it's going to happen too many times. Right? Multiple user login failures for the same account taking place within the same space of 1 hour is more likely to require investigation. So multiple user login failures for the same account, that means we have multiple people trying to log into your account and we have multiple failures. That sounds like more of something I want to alert. So we can create a statement, that's the best word I'm looking for here, or a rule in which it's going to say, hey, if this happens, then send me an alert, but if this happens, then don't send me an alert. So they're saying, hey, if it's greater than, if the error login is greater than 3, and the login failure user and duration is less than 1 hour, then send me an alert. So if somebody logs into the system incorrectly more than 3 times in less than an hour, send me an alert. So this is things, these are rules, right? Or sometimes they call them thresholds. Thresholds that you would create to tell the device, send me an alert, and thresholds you create to say, hey, if this happens, don't send me an alert. So for example, would I want to set a threshold that says, send me an alert if the network gets to 95% utilization? Do you think that's a good alert? Why or why not?
Well, if you have at 95% utilization, systems.
I think it's a good alert.
Yeah, you said what?
That's a good alert. I think it's a good alert too.
You think it's a good alert? I don't think it's a good alert.
Oh.
You know why?
Why?
95% is too high.
Well, you saying it should be lower then? Okay.
So it should be lower.
I got you.
It's like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Gotta be just right. Right? 95, at 90, you probably got somebody calling help desk saying, hey, do you know network slow?
That's true.
But you're not getting alert until 95.
Yeah.
Right? What about 50?
I think
Too low.
Too low?
Goldilocks and Three Bears.
Okay, so that's too
it's
low.
Kind of hard to figure out. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be over talking you, Henry.
No. You said you said that was too low. I heard what you said.
Yes.
Okay. So what is your midpoint? 75?
That's the thing. You have to figure out for your organization. You have to figure out for your organization. 75 might be normal traffic for your organization. Then that means you're going to be getting alerts all the time. Right? So it's based on the environment you're in. You have to look at what your baseline traffic is. And then from there, then you set up, I want to get an alert when my traffic reaches this particular threshold. Right? It's just like on my computer. If I set my threshold at 50% memory, well shoot, I'm going to be getting alerts all day. Because that's what normal use of my computer is, right? And I might get busier. I might open a couple things, and I might say, all right, well, I'm gonna set it to 65. But then I get busy throughout the day, and I hit 65, and I'm getting alerts all the time.
Gotcha.
So you literally have to look at your environment to see what's normal traffic throughout the day, right? What's the trend, and based on that trend and normal traffic, right, I'm gonna set it for this. If it hits this, I know something's wrong because that's not what normal traffic is throughout the day.
Okay.
So yeah, 75 could be good, but 75 could be something that you get alerts all the time because your organization doesn't have enough resources, so you're consistently hitting 75.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. Archiving. On the next page, you talk about archiving these logs. SIEM can enact a retention policy, so these logs and data will remain for a specific period of time. Right, for forensic evidence, which we kind of just talked about. A log rotation scheme can be configured to move outdated information to archive storage. So there's a key there. I don't want to delete it. I want to archive it. So things that have gotten old, say logs from 2010 and prior, delete all that stuff. But I don't want to delete it. I want to archive it, put it in storage first, because I never know if I need to go back and look at those older logs because there's a new attack that's similar to an attack that happened 10 years ago. So I might need it. But yes, I do want to have some way to rotate and delete older logs, keep the newest logs, kind of thing.
Okay.
After backing them up. Alerting and tuning. So this way we just spent some time talking about just tuning. Tuning, and sometimes they call it the words thresholds. And it's hard to tune and to set that threshold to something where it's not too low or too high. Right? So I kind of talked about techniques. They have their techniques here in the book. But again, the concept is you have to figure out what's normal in your environment. And based on that, then you can create your proper tuning. Right? Because you don't want to be alerted too often, and you don't want to be alerted too late.
Gotcha.
Machine learning here analysis is something that could be used to help you tune, right? Because machine learning is just like humans. Hey, set it up and say, hey, monitor my network for a whole week, and then tune it based on how you monitor it for the whole week. Let me know what was normal, let me know what's abnormal, and you automatically tune it based on what you learned. Network monitors, bottom. Actually, I want to talk about this flood. Redirect sudden alert floods. That's bullet point 2 on 362. Redirecting sudden alert floods to a dedicated group. Changes in the network can cause a rule to start producing far more alerts than it should. Once it's confirmed that it's a false positive rather than spamming, each analysis dashboard, it can be assigned to a dedicated agent or team to remediate. Yeah, I mean, so flooding would occur that if you set it to 25% alert me, you're going to be getting alerts all the time, which is a false positive because you didn't know that they set the threshold so low. You didn't know they tuned it so low. So all they're saying here is that if we analyze it and we see that that's false positive, then we have to figure out how to go back in and retune it so we don't get these floods. But if it is an actual alert, then we got to decide what team is going to address that issue. So I don't think there's anything in those bullet points that we have not talked about the concept, right? There's no terms and definitions there is what I'm trying to say. All right, some more stuff that I've kind of talked about already. Everything has logs. If we're looking at traffic specifically for the network, right, and network utilization, I showed you guys yesterday in Task Manager how I was looking at my wireless. I was looking at the network traffic that's coming in my wireless performance, right? So today, it's like I'm receiving pretty high today, 2 megabits per second. I'm not sure what I'm logged into that's downloading 2 megabits per second. I'm not sending anything, but I'm receiving 2 megas per second. So that means I am downloading.
It's the voice, the Microsoft Teams. It's the voice package, video package.
So, I know. I'm on Teams today.
Yeah, we're on Teams right now.
Henry didn't want to drive in. Yeah, that's what it is. See, you kill my bandwidth, man. I'm trying to figure out what the heck is that. Yeah, so Teams. Teams is taking up that bandwidth today. But getting back to monitoring my network traffic, I mentioned verbally a second ago, it's called NetFlow. NetFlow is an application that could be utilized to kind of see statistics like this, bar graphical representation. And this is probably showing a percentage. There's my throughput. So my max throughput is 5 megabits on this Wi-Fi. I'm on 802.11 AC. Right? So this is the maximum. So I'm not even using 50% really. If the max is 5 megabits, which we know the max is not, I can go a lot higher than that. But anyways, certain software out there could give me a little bit more detailed information than what I just showed you in Task Manager, right? Where we can actually see IP addresses that are sending and receiving information. We can see protocols, and that's what we're saying in this picture here. Additional information. Where's my magnifier? So we can see the same thing, actual throughput over here, right? We can see duration of me being connected to that particular service. We can see what application is sending that information, DNS. Right? I guess a thumbs up means it's a good application, not malicious. UDP. So WhatsApp. Remember, that's streaming. UDP is streaming. They have open here. ICMP is ping traffic. So somebody's sending a ping here, right? But yeah, we can see, probably you can even click on some of these and probably see a little bit more detailed information about traffic. Here it looks like a summarization. Sending and receiving right here. Bits per second. Wow. And they're on Ethernet, which is hardwire. All right.
Question, is that a free program or proprietary? Gotta pay for it.
This one looks like it's NTOPNG edition. NTOP, let's look it up. I'm not sure if that's free or not. There is one that we use called PTRNG. That was a free one. This looks like it's Linux, so it's probably free. Maybe not. Yeah, I gotta get a demo. Free monitoring software network. Actually, it's going to be more of a scene. See if I can find the one that we used here. It was actually free. No, this is I want the top 10. There it is. PTRG. Shoot, PTR didn't even make the top 10. So we saw this one. We saw Splunk. We saw Snort in the book. This one's not even on here, so obviously it's not free. The other one I was looking for, let's see, PTR monitoring software. I don't remember what it was called. I don't remember what it was called. PRTG, I think this is what it was.
So you think Splunk would do everything that NetFlow does?
Yeah, Splunk does everything and a lot more.
Oh, good.
Splunk is actually more of a packet sniffer, a packet analyzer.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, PRTG I think is what it was. PRTG download. I think that's what it was. PRTG.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Monitor.
I could have swore it was free though.
Here it is. Okay. Windows.
Probably free. I know it's free, but
Yeah.
this is what we used. You probably
Yeah,
figure out
it says it's proprietary.
How you got it.
Yeah, Pressler. Is it PAESSLER? Yes. Proprietary, and the license Wikipedia says proprietary. So
Yeah, that's one PRTG.
yeah,
We spun up on a virtual machine. That's what they were using when we had machines on site.
Awesome, thank you.
Machines.
Appreciate it.
Right. So moving on here. Next page. System monitoring and logs. A system monitor implements the same functionality as a network monitor for a computer host. Like switches and routers, server hosts can report health status using SNMP. So our SNMP is at heartbeat 161, and we can monitor the system state. Is the system turned on? Is the system turned off? So getting off of the network portion of what we talked about, we want to monitor the state of the system. Is it healthy or is it unhealthy? Application and cloud monitors. SNMP offers fairly limited functionality in the cloud. There are numerous proprietary monitoring software solutions for infrastructure, applications, database, and cloud environments. Some are designed for on-prem and some for cloud. Other factors to monitor include the number of sessions and requests, bandwidth consumption, CPU, memory utilization, which is all the same stuff we monitor on-prem. Cloud monitors will assess different facets of cloud services such as bandwidth, virtual machine status, and application health. We talked about vulnerability scanners and antiviruses. Right? So here, what they were just talking about here, is we're talking about monitoring. Vulnerability scanners will report number of vulnerabilities, unmitigated vulnerabilities. This is another way we can monitor risk in an organization. And antiviruses are going to do the same thing. They're going to report things that are malicious on our systems, right? Hopefully detect and hopefully prevent.
Mm-hmm.
DLP at the top, 365 we talked about. Remember DLP, data loss prevention.
Yeah.
Mediates the copying of tag data to restrict to authorized media and services. So DLP is another tool we can use to monitor what data has left my network, since we're in this monitoring topic here. Benchmarks. All right, make sure I'm on the right slide. One of the functions for a vulnerability scan is to assess the configuration, controls, and application, establish a benchmark. Benchmark is a starting point, right? Where we're at and where we need to be at. So this is the picture that I always show in class, and I don't think it's in this PowerPoint slide, so you gotta look at the book, unfortunately, not in the PowerPoint. The picture at the bottom shows us a benchmark, right? We have two columns, 515 support and template. 515 support says the maximum password age should be 42 days old. So your password needs to be 42 days old before you can change it. But the benchmark is, based on the template, it should be 60 days old. So here we have this SCAP tool that can be used to compare where my current configuration settings are and where's the benchmark, where should they be. My password is 7 characters long, the benchmark is 14 characters long. Right?
SCAP
So
is SCAP.
SCAP uses several components to accomplish this function of what best practice, where I'm at and where I should be at. OVAL and XCCDF are going to do the same thing as well. OVAL is an XML schema. XML is a type of programming language for describing system security state and querying vulnerability reports. And extensible configuration checklist description format is another XML schema, developing and auditing best practices configurations. So in essence, SCAP tool is going to do what? SCAP tool is going to be used to tell us what's the best practice. Where should our environment be as far as configurations are concerned? This is where we're at. This is where we need to be at. Yeah, I think the definition there in my PowerPoint is pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
Just came back, so we're just going to move straight to 13.
All right, let's do it.
13 talks about analyzing indicators of malicious activity. So talking about viruses. This is that click and drag. I would say click and drag, the drop-down sim that we have, where we read a virus, we decide what type of virus it is, and then we select the remediation strategy. So malware is classified as anything that's bad trying to access my machine is considered malware, malicious. And there's lots of viruses out there. We've already talked about the Trojan horse. Trojan horse is one that looks good on the outside, but on the inside, concealed on the inside, something malicious. Pups or bloatware. We talk about pups as well. Pups or PAPs or bloatware. They're all synonyms. Potentially unwanted programs, potentially unwanted applications. Sometimes these could be spyware. It could be have bloatware that spies on the end user. A lot of times they're going to be not dangerous, but most of the time they might conceal something in there that is going to be spying on the end user. That's why I just choose not to purchase machines that are pre-built. Do it myself. Computer viruses. On this page, we're talking about different ways in which viruses can infect my system. Now, I'd say the most common vector in which a virus gets into somebody's system is email, but there's other ways that viruses get inside of people's systems. Non-resident or file infector is essentially an exe file, an executing file. The virus is contained within a host executable file. So when you open up, double-click on Word, Excel, Adobe Acrobat, they're all EXEs. They're all used to execute a file. This is how I got viruses back in the day a lot of times, because I download free software. I go to press the EXE file to execute it, and the EXE file is infected. And now my system got a virus. Some viruses can infect the memory, the RAM. So we talk about RAM, and we're talking about the order of volatility. So RAM is temporary. So we can have something that infects the system temporarily while the system's powered on. So sometimes a lot of people would get a virus and then just simply reboot the computer or power it off, and it would go away. Yeah. Sometimes. It's not always the case, but hey, my computer's acting strange, go ahead and reboot. And that was something that might have just temporarily affected the memory. Boot. So we have these things called the boot sector. When you install Windows for the first time on a hard drive, it's installed on a specific sector on a hard drive called a boot sector. So when you boot your system up, it's going to look for that portion. When you think about a sector, you got to think about a hard drive. So let me show you. Hard drive inside. So this is a hard drive inside. It looks like a record player, right? It's a spindle. It spins around really fast. And this needle is going to look at different sectors, just like on a record player, for specific types of data. So that sector that contains a boot, which allows you to boot into Windows, because you can have dual boot. You can boot to Windows and you can boot to Linux on one hard drive. So that boot sector could be infected. So it looks at that sector and it says, I want to boot to that operating system where somebody has injected a virus there. Wow. And then we got scripts or macros. So I've told, again, Ricky, create a script to reboot machines every night at 9 p.m. So Ricky goes into task scheduler here, the task scheduler. And he's going to create a new basic task. And he's going to say, hey, this is going to be to reboot PCs, 9 p.m. And he goes through, when do you want this to start daily? When do you want it to happen? I want it to happen at 9 p.m., right? Every single day. And he goes through the action. Well, what do you want it to do? I want it to run a particular program, which is a script. Some of these are deprecated. Send an email, display a message. But here, you're going to have to program your script, and then you browse to your computer where the script resides. And then you're going to open that script, and it's going to run that script at 9 p.m. which is your reboot script. If you don't know how to create the script, guess what? You got ChatGPT, and you ask ChatGPT. Where's my ChatGPT? I freaking hate this tab that pops up here. It should go away. I asked ChatGPT, create a reboot script for my PC. And here's a reboot script right here. Right? So it wrote out the entire thing. Look, you can just set up here, copy code.
Oh my god.
It says here, tells me, save the script in a file.
Oh my god.
And name it this.
Damn, that is amazing. Wow.
Make sure to give it executable permissions.
Wow.
Use this script. So I can save this script to a file, put it into a directory, browse to it, and it should reboot the computer. Now this is a
Linux.
What can I say about this? This is a script that's going to do way more than I want it to do, because this is Echo says it's going to display these messages.
Wow.
It's going to even give me a prompt. Would you like to proceed? Right? I don't even want to say if you hit yes or no, do this. Right? I just want a simple script. Reboot. I don't want to give the person the ability to say no. So this is more. This is I should have been more specific onto what I wanted it to do. Right? Anyways, go back here. But a worm propagates, right? We read a test question, possible test question, right? Where we know that the worm's job is to propagate, replicate, and it talks about in the book what we would do to stop a worm from replicating is disconnect it from the network. So you talk about different types of worms, a conflicker worm. This one, and these are just examples here. Illustrated the potential for remote code execution and memory resident malware to affect highly potent attacks. As malwares continued to develop, criminal intent security software became even better to detect some of these and block these. The term fileless has gained prominence, though, to refer to these modern types of malware. Fileless is not a definitive classification, but it describes a collection of common behaviors and techniques. Fileless malware does not write code to disk. So in layman's terms, imagine you getting a virus. Your antivirus scans your system, but it doesn't find a file because the file doesn't exist. That's what fileless malware is. It's malware that gets on your system, but it can't be detected in your system because it physically did not write anything to the hard drive. So they're very hard to detect. The malware may change registry values, right? The initial execution of malware may also depend on the user running or downloading a script, such as a Trojan software package. Fileless malware uses lightweight shellcode to achieve a backdoor. It's easy to recompile in an obfuscated form to evade detection by scanners. Fileless malware may use something called living off the land, techniques rather than compiled executables to evade detection. This means that the malware code uses legitimate system scripting tools, notably PowerShell. Here's PowerShell in Windows. And PowerShell looks just like my CMD prompt. Right? So some of the coding here that we type in is color coded. Right? So depending on what you type in, it could be red, it could be standard color, it could be yellow. But you're going to type in commands here that are going to perform scripts. PowerShell is a Windows scripting language, which is, again, that's a whole other class on PowerShell. But fileless malware uses living off the land techniques rather than compiled executables. Most of them are going to be using PowerShell to execute payload actions. If they can execute with sufficient permissions, these environments provide all the tools the attacker needs to perform scanning, reconfiguring settings, and stealing information, stealing data. We talked about this APT already, Advanced Persistent Threat. Those are the guys that are highly skilled, sophisticated, sponsored by China, the state, nation state backed. And they're the ones that are going to be able to create these files, malwares, or these living off the land-based attacks. These malicious viruses that are hard to detect. Spyware keylogger. Right? So you can see where they're asking these questions on that SIM that we looked at, right? Especially with the keylogger. Spyware spies on user adwares, additional bloatware, and keyloggers are going to track down everything that I've typed into my keyboard, stealing all my keystrokes. So Bluetooth is very susceptible to keylogging. That's why we're going to disable Bluetooth, or we should just use a tethered keyboard. Backdoors, right? Get to some of the questions in our exam. Bypass, authorized way to install something secure onto the system. Developers a lot of times will leave backdoors because they don't want to go home and open a VPN connection, type username, password, get their token out and everything else. Just want to connect straight to the network and get to work. So by them leaving this backdoor, if a hacker finds a backdoor, then they've bypassed secure ways to connect to the network. They don't need a username, password, VPN. So we do want to not leave backdoors. Developers' best practice is not to leave a backdoor to authenticate. The rat is a backdoor, right? And a rat uses something called a Trojan horse to allow somebody to remotely access that machine and to install a virus like a Trojan horse on the system. Now, the Trojan horse is going to now give that person remote access to that user's system. Here they talk about the command and control, C2 and CC. That just simply means that I'm going to sit on that user's machine and hide. Right? Hide until I figure out what I'm going to do. So I'm setting up a base, command and control center. Covert channel. They mentioned this word covert channel at the bottom of 376. We just need to know what a covert channel is. A covert channel is a communication that the military would use, right? In which typical end users or civilians would not have access to that particular communications station. So think about you on a walkie-talkie talking to somebody. Me, I can't be on a radio or CB radio and hear what you're saying on that same station. Truckers, somehow they are able to compromise covert channels, and they can kind of eavesdrop into police and emergency channels. But typically those police emergency channels are covert. They're secret. If you're a police officer, you can hear it. But if you're not a police officer and you're a standard civilian, I should not be able to hear 911 phone calls and what's going on, emergency channels. Yeah. I mean, we can, obviously, but typically those channels are off limits. You can't go to your radio and turn to 95.5 beat and listen to communication channels, right? Because they're secret, covert. Oh, really? You can buy scanners? Oh, okay. What would you even Google for that? Police scanner? Was it like a radio? Oh, I don't know. The old school. That's funny.
Yes, because we had the language a small time.
Yeah.
So about to leave right here. I'm chase foot chase. Oh, great bitch, wait. And then I'm saying how they know everybody. I'm saying they get arrested.
Oh, wow. That's cool. My uncle was a police officer. He had, I mean, I heard it all the time. You know, his actual walkie-talkie, he had to leave it on until a certain hour, cut it off. But he had a scanner in his room with a big old antenna, but he never turned it on. Wasn't interested in it. Now I am, but he's long gone now. Never turn on it. Yeah, they would be really entertained, right? Yeah.
So it was really interesting.
That's cool. IRC, we don't use that anymore, but they talk about this was used to be the first instant message chatter. Before AOL instant messaging, you had IRC.
That's relay. Oh yeah.
Anyways, rootkits. Talk about more viruses. Backdoors. We'll go to the next slide here. I didn't mention rootkit early in the week. I said a rootkit is a virus that's embedded so deep in the system that antivirus software can't even find it. Right? Sometimes it's so embedded in the system that even if you wipe the hard drive clean and reinstall, the rootkit will still be on that device. So sometimes the only way to get rid of the rootkit is to basically throw the hard drive out.
Wow.
Ransomware. Oh, we talked about ransomware. You know, the main thing about ransomware, if you get a question on an exam and it says, Judy was on a computer or acting strange, all of a sudden she got a pop up with a phone number to call and to pay money to get her data back. What type of virus has infected Judy's machine? It's a ransomware. And crypto malware is used in ransomware. Okay. So crypto malware does what? It encrypts your files. Okay. We talked about crypto mining already, and crypto jacking. That was a term in the book actually earlier. So there's definitely something repeating. We can't hijack somebody else's equipment and use it to mine cryptocurrency. And we already talked about logic bombs. We saw a question yesterday with the if statement. See how good they define this in the book. I will read from the book 379.
Okay.
Some types of malware do not trigger automatically. Having infected a system, they wait for a pre-configured time and date time bomb or a system or user event. Logic bombs also need not be malware code. Typical example is a disgruntled system administrator who leaves a scripted trap that runs in the event their account is deleted or disabled. Antivirus software is unlikely to detect this malicious script. This type of trap is also referred to as a mine. Is a new word. Mine. The logic bombs are AKA mines. But the definition is still pretty much the same. I don't think they do a good enough job there because, again, they don't mention the word if anywhere. So how could they give you code on an exam and you read through the code and try to determine based on what we learn in the book that code is talking about a logic bomb? Right? I gave you the keyword if, but there's a couple other things in there, right? That we'll look at the code again and we'll read it line by line, but still, it doesn't do a good enough job in the book to efficiently have somebody determine that code is a logic bomb, in my opinion.
Okay.
Unless you have some background knowledge like A+, Net+, coming in and being able to kind of analyze code. But this book by itself doesn't. TTPs, we talked about tactics, techniques, procedures. I talked about it, but here it is in the book. So these are concepts of how a hacker hacks. This type of signature-based detection is still important for detecting commodity. Talk about tactics, techniques, procedures. And by the way, IOC stands for indicators of compromise. So the summary here before I read the book is hackers use tactics, techniques, procedures to perform their hacking, and then they want to leave the environment without leaving any indicators that they were the ones that compromised the environment. So that's evidence. It could be IP addresses, it could be MAC addresses, it could be a username, it could be, speaking of non-digital, fingerprints, right? Or something I would say more would be in reference to this class, cameras or logs. So they want to delete all the log information or delete everything that's on the camera. Those are indicators of compromise. So here, malicious activity can often only be detected by monitoring for a wider range of indicators. Knowledge of these indicators is formed by studying threat actor behaviors. The outcome of this analysis is described as tactics, techniques, or procedures. A tactic, high-level description of a threat behavior. Behavior such as reconnaissance, right? Meaning that my tactic would be I'm going to go out there and use Shodan IO, right? That's what we looked at yesterday.
Yep.
And we'll see all the cameras that are out there. Technique, intermediate level description of how a threat actor progresses a tactic. For example, reconnaissance might be accomplished via techniques such as active network scanning, or the technique I used as example yesterday was dropping the thumb drive in the parking lot. And procedures, detailed description of how techniques is performed. Right, so I talked about this step by steps. Here's take step 1, step 2, step 3. So I'm going to go step 1. I'm going to go to LinkedIn, find the people that work there. Step 2, I'm going to download a virus. Step 3, I'm going to take that virus and drop it at Deliver. Step 4, once it gets installed on the user machine, I'm going to pivot and move to admin. Step 5, right? Those are procedures. But again, the key here is that after I've done all that, I don't want them to know that it was me. So I have to remove all these indicators of compromise. This framework details tactics, techniques, procedures, right? Which is a practice homework question, which you probably have seen by now. Spider attack. And it's one of the easier ones because the question basically says which of the following frameworks could be used to identify tactics, techniques, and procedures. Malicious activity indicators, we have things that like our logs. This is task manager, and what we see here is we can see 0 through 100. So 50% utilization for this, but all of a sudden it spikes to 100, spikes to 100, goes down to 0. These are deviations from what's normal, 50. So anything that deviates from normal activity is an indicator that somebody's inside my network performing something malicious. Sandbox execution, I talked about this yesterday, detonation, right? If I'm not sure the file's safe, I use a virtual machine to detonate it. Resource consumption, this is an indicator of resources at 100% being consumed with somebody's in my network. File system on the next page. Malicious code might not execute from a process image saved on a local disk, but it is still likely to interact with file systems and registry, revealing its presence by behavior. Computer's file system stores a great deal of useful metadata about when files are created, accessed, and modified. Analyzing these metadata and checking for suspicious temporary files can help to establish a timeline of events. Attempts to access valuable data can be revealed by blocked content indicators. These are going to be things like my user account center, UAC, right? That means somebody's trying to install something and you get a little pop-up. You're trying to make a change. Are you sure you want to make this change? Those are things that can detect people trying to access and make changes maliciously on my file system. Data loss prevention, right? So I don't know if you can even get a notification if you plug a USB thumb drive because it's just disabled, right? So it ain't gonna do nothing. Yeah. Resource inaccessibility, I'm sorry. Indicators that somebody has compromised your system. So I'm unable to save things to the hard drive. Why? Because I don't have access to the hard drive. So these are things. I'm not able to log into the network. Why? Because the network's down because of a DDoS attack. Network utilization's at 100%. I can't check my email. Why? Because the network's down again. Account compromise on the next page. Here they're just talking about, okay, so there's nothing here on my slide. Account compromises here. How we can lock the accounts out. How we can indicate if there's more than one person logged into the account at the same time. And impossible travel. Well, this is a test question. Right? It's impossible for me to be in Paris at 8:01 and then be in Texas at 8:02. Impossible travel is that it's impossible for me to geographically be in one location and another location 1 minute later. It's an indicator that somebody's trying to compromise my account. A threat actor logging. A threat actor will often try to cover their tracks by removing indicators from the log files. So an indicator that somebody's been inside of my environment is all the logs from yesterday are missing. Somebody has been in here and they did something yesterday and went to delete it. And one thing to mitigate against that is that our log should be what's called read-only. That means you can view the logs, but you can't modify or delete the logs. All right, 13B, we got let's see how far we can get. We got this brute force attack. Brute force attack is guessing a single user's username and password over and over and over again. Typically what happens is your account gets locked out to mitigate against that. Environmental attacks. This is going to attempt to perform a way in which we can't access the environment. Let me reword that. An environmental attack is an attack on our environment that is going to make it so we can't access our systems. So imagine if somebody turned the heat up in the server room. Now the server room is 150 degrees. That's going to cause the servers to shut down, right? So compromising our HVAC system is a type of environmental attack. Some of them are out of our hands though, because some of them are just weather, right? When it just gets extremely hot or cold, or hurricane strikes the building. All those things would do the same thing. RFID cloning and skimming. So it's important that you get one of these RFID wallet. And my phone's still out, bro. A big problem, man. This is the RFID wallet, right? And what do these do? They mitigate against somebody skimming your credit card data, especially when it has that NFC technology. You got one of these?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I have one.
Man,
I got mine. I love mine. Yes.
No, look at where's my wallet?
Yeah, mine costs like $200.
It's real wallet. It's leather. Right?
Oh, yours is leather?
Yeah. Some of the other ones are really small, but you can get a real wallet, leather, and it has RFID blocking.
Oh, so is yours like this?
Yeah. You said what?
Is yours like this?
Oh, hang on. I'm getting there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, I see it.
You got one of those Apple what's it called?
I don't have an Apple one.
No, the little button there that you can track it. Yeah, cause I got.
It's got a leather one. This little standard leather one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's nice.
$200.
You like it?
It's hard because it's so small. Like I forget it, and it's not like the big fat wallets that I'm used to.
I like my regular wallet. Mine looks just like a normal wallet.
Oh wow.
I was looking at some of these, but they're too small, especially the Ridge ones.
Mhm.
I'm a hoarder when it comes to keeping stuff in my wallet, so.
Yeah, me too.
I don't need a purse or nothing like that.
Yeah.
Those are too small.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
But anyways, you get those to mitigate against people stealing your information. And we looked at one thing yesterday that can do that cloning and skimming. That's that device that's going to be legal soon. What was it? Flipper Zero.
Flipper. I'm buying one of those. Yeah. Thank you for telling me about that.
I'm gonna look at one too. There, probably some really cool stuff. YouTube, there's a lot of cool videos, but some of the YouTube videos are fake.
Oh.
I saw one YouTube video said the Flipper Zero can turn a stoplight from red to green.
Huh.
I'm like, nah, I was like, that's fake.
Nah, I don't
They're
believe that.
just doing that for clickbait.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Yeah. That's.
If I can.
It caused an accident.
Ooh,
God. Yeah.
Reconnaissance. Reconnaissance is what's called fingerprinting. Sometimes they use the word fingerprinting, but it's the same thing. It means I'm going to your organization, I'm discovering things about your organization. I don't know how many PCs you have. I don't know if you're using Windows. I don't know if you're using Linux. I don't know who is who and who's responsible for what. So there's lots of ways we can do reconnaissance. I can just go to LinkedIn, or I can go to the About Us page and see everyone that works there, what the job titles are. Credential harvesting is what it sounds like. Getting a bunch of people's passwords and harvesting them, and then using them later point in time to help me with my brute force attack. And then we talked about this lateral movement on the next page. Skipping command and control, but we literally just talked about that, gang. But lateral movement is when I talked about we can pivot horizontally or vertically in a network to find somebody who has higher privileges. But the word pivot means that we're moving, right? Command control, staying. Persistent, we remain on that printer. Pivoting means I jump from the printer to a laptop, to a desktop, to the CEO's machine. And what I want to do, I want to steal data. On the next page, sync flood attack. So here it is in the book, and we talked about it already, right? I showed you the picture.
Mm-hmm.
You guys tell me if I showed you this picture. I showed you a picture of the guy hacking, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yes.
this one. You saw this one already, right?
Yeah.
Alright, good. Alright, cool. So that's a sync flood attack. DRDOS attack. Did we see this one?
A DDoS versus DOS. Oh. Hmm.
We talked about this one yet?
No, we didn't talk about that one.
Alright. So this is a DRDOS attack. It looks like a sync flood attack. Sync flood attack, what's in common here? We have multiple machines sending traffic to a single machine, right? Trying to flood this machine with information that's going to cause this machine to go down, right? The difference here is it's being reflected on behalf of one individual. And what's happening in this picture is this guy has logged into multiple machines, multiple bots, so he's controlling a botnet, a group of bots. And he's telling to send, what type of traffic is this? I talked about today and yesterday. ICMP is ping. It's telling these guys to send a ping. So a ping is this, Ricky. When I ping a machine, what happens? I gotta get a reply back. You ping 8.8.8. See the reply back. So if I sit here and ping Google all day, and they gotta reply back all day, right? And then if I did that with 1,000 machines, they have to reply back to 1,000 machines all day, right? And I can change the size of the packet of the ping too. I can make this packet of the ping bigger. Dash L 1,000. But now I'm pinging all day with 1,000 bytes.
Oh, sorry. That's great.
So that is what that type of attack, that Smurf flood attack, or they call it distributed reflective denial service type of attack. Because I'm simply hiding behind other computers. I'm telling other computers to do the dirty work for me. So that's what a Smurf attack is, a DRDOS attack type of attack. It's on 388. An amplification attack, well, that's a definition of what both those attacks are. Amplification attack is when we're amplifying the attack. Instead of it coming from one person, it's coming from multiple people. NTP, they talk about NTP amplification attack. Now, what's the job of NTP?
Net time protocol of the server for
Its
threading.
Its job is to give out time.
Yeah.
So if I have 2 million computers asking the time server what time it is, and then I log in and ask the time server what time it is, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think I'm going to be able to get the time? No. He's going to be like, I'm sorry, I'm busy with 2 million people asking me the same question. You're going to have to wait your turn. And if I don't get the time, a lot of things don't happen. I can't back up at 9 p.m. I can't reboot at 9 p.m. Shit, I can't even log in if I don't have the correct time. Because Kerberos issues tickets. Those tickets are time-stamped. I can't time-stamp the ticket if I don't know what time it is. So I can't even authenticate to the system if I don't have the time. So all these have in common that these are all affecting the availability of the machine. That's what a DDoS attack is, or a DOS attack. The main difference is a DOS attack comes from one machine. A DDoS attack comes from multiple machines, where that distributed comes in. And this is actually in my notes, DDoS. DDoS, spell it right. See right here? A DDoS comes from one machine attacking a single server, and a DDoS distributed means coming from multiple machines. So this is what's called a bot, and this is called a botnet, a group of bots. Then we have on-the-path attack. That's AKA man-in-the-middle. I think we all understand what a man-in-the-middle attack is. In layman's terms, is this: I'm trying to send Ricky a message, but there's somebody standing in the middle of me and Ricky, and he's using Wireshark. He's intercepting whatever message I'm sending to you on your laptop or texting to you on your phone. So the only way that we can mitigate this man-in-the-middle is even if he intercepts that message, it's encrypted and you can't read it. So that's why it's important that we don't use HTTP, we use HTTPS. We don't use Telnet, we use SSH. Trying to see my stopping point. I see you're trying to see it as well.
Oh.
I want to stop at 13C. So You're at home. I know you don't care when you go to lunch. You probably ate already.
Yeah, that's true.
But we're gonna go a little bit later today because I don't want to stop in the middle. All right, and some of this stuff we've already talked about, so I'm just gonna get 13 seeds so I can come back. ARPS has one main job, right? And I think I have this in the notes. Control F ARP. Right? Yeah, I do. ARP's job is to translate an IP address to MAC address. Right? Now I'm going to go in, I'm going to show you this command. It says it's a native tool, not naive. I'm not sure how that got written there.
Okay.
Native tool.
Command line. Okay.
Right? It's a native tool. And I'm going to show you ARP translating an IP address to MAC address. Go to CMD again.
Okay.
And we type in here ARP -A.
-A, gotcha.
Dash.
Yeah.
Sorry. So here we can see IP addresses
Gotcha.
of systems I've talked to, and the MAC addresses of these systems.
Wow.
So we need ARP to be able to talk to other computers in the network, because I can only talk to your computer if I know its MAC address. So even if I ping your computer via IP address, ARP still has to work to take that IP address and translate it to the MAC address so I can talk to it.
Roger.
So without ARP, I'm not going to be able to talk to your computer. But we have things called ARP poisoning attacks.
Ooh.
But it won't translate this IP address to the correct MAC address. So say I ping your computer, and we know your computer's MAC address is C5, all right? Well, somebody will come in there and poison it, and they'll say that their IP address, their MAC address is also C5. So now I sent something to your computer, and they get a copy of it too, because they've disrupted the table in here to say that, yeah, my IP address has the same MAC address too. Just like DNS poisoning. Exactly the same concept. Yep, you're right. So that's what it's called, to spoof a MAC address. That's what's called to poison the ARP table. Because I'm going to basically say that I got the same MAC address that you got. Make sense?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, we already talked about DNS poisoning yesterday. That's why I said I want to kind of get through this chapter. Did I show you guys a host file trick?
No.
I think, but there's several ways to poison the DNS. They mentioned the host file, so I always show people what is the host file, because they don't show you, they don't talk about it in the book. But I'm going to directory. You can Google how to get there later. But it's in C, Windows, System, 32. I'm going to drivers and Etsy. So it's the directory tab right there. C, Windows System 32, drivers, Etsy. And then we can see there's a host file here.
Yeah.
I'm going to open it with the notepad.
Oh, that's good.
And then here, I can manually type in DNS entries.
Oh, yes.
You see what it says here? If you're going to this website, rhinoacme.com, take me to this IP address.
Yep.
That's what Google does, right? So what if I have my son who likes to go to YouTube instead of a school website? I can put a manual entry in the host record. So I can say, find the IP address of the school's website. Just say it's 1.1.1.1. And then I type in youtube.com. So anytime he goes to youtube.com, it's going to send him to 1.1.1 instead, which is his school's website. Yeah.
That's amazing. Can you believe that? You just do this bypass of, yeah.
It won't bypass the host file because it always looks at the host file first.
Yeah, it'll bypass the computer, I mean, and go to the where you want to
Oh,
send.
yeah, it'll bypass the DNS
Yeah.
of the computer, yes.
Yeah.
It'll look here first, but since my host entry is empty, when it looks here, it says, all right, let me go ask Google DNS how to get there.
Oh, yeah.
So imagine a hacker getting access to your host records and then poisoning your host records, because it's going to look here first. And the hacker knows all the websites you go to, so every time you go to a website, it looks at your host file first. So there's lots of ways to poison DNS, but that's what they're mentioning is one. We had a question this morning about this. Evil twin.
Yeah.
Right? So essentially what the evil twin attack is doing is I bring in a wireless access point. I can see they have a picture here now. Yeah, you see this? Struct guest is the name, SSID is the name of the wireless. Over here, struct guest 2. But look at the MAC address. This MAC address is A036. This MAC address is AC. So it's two different devices, but they have the same name. So I need to trick you into logging into my device instead of logging into their device. Well, how can I do that? Because there's two devices with the same name. But one thing I can do is I can kick you off your network, kick you off the legit one. Right? And there's attacks that I can do to say, hey, anybody log into this device, kick them off. Called a disassociation attack. Disassociate that person with that device. Kick them off the wireless access point. You can download that, and you can double click on it, and it will kick everyone off the wireless access point. Imagine you being at a hotel, and the hotel's wireless is slow, and you kick everyone off the wireless. You can do it with the disassociation attack. Another thing that I noticed in this picture that is going to make me want to connect to the bad one. Look what they did here. See that security? WPA2? Look at this security. Open. Open means I don't need a password.
There's no password. Yeah.
So it looks like it's the guest network. I don't need a password. Shoot, I'm going to connect to that because I don't know what the password is.
Right. That's what I would have done. Yep.
So there's several things we can do to get people to try to connect to ours. Now, why do we want people to connect to ours? Because if they connect to our access point, any traffic they send out the network is going to pass through my access point, and I can use it to sniff. So an evil twin attack is exactly that, right? Masquerading as a legitimate one, and it performs this on a path attack with you sending everything through my device before it goes out to the network. Make sense?
Yes, that's great.
And some of the things we can do, as I mentioned, disassociation, kick them off the network. A jammer is super expensive. They're like $3,000-$4,000 when I looked it up on Amazon.
Wow.
But jamming the signal to make it hard for you to connect to the legitimate access point could be something else we could do. Online password attacks. I always ask the class this. What happens if I come to your desk at work and I type my password in wrong too many times?
Get locked out.
Right? That's what an online pass attack is. It locks you out. Yeah, exactly what you said. It locks you out. But what happens if I take your hard drive out of your system and take your hard drive home? That's an offline attack. Now, what could mitigate against me finding out your information or your passwords? Hopefully you have your password stored in a hash, and hopefully your password is stored in a strong hash with salt. It's going to make it that much longer for me to crack the code to get access to your data. There's no lockout. So yeah, online there's a policy that when you're plugged into your network, it'll lock your account. That's why you gotta pick up the phone and call somebody when you get locked out. Right? You call somebody, right? Yeah. And then, but whoever's at your